Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to another episode of B Movie Bash.
Movie Bash.
I'm Shannon.
I'm Alyssa.
And we've got some good stuff going on today.
Yeah.
Always,
I feel like we almost always have some good stuff.
Almost.
Almost.
Maybe. Always. I don't know.
This one's not so good.
Okay. So. I mean, that's the point. So.
Yeah. I know I saw that this one was rated 2.4 stars on IMDb. So I was like, oh, this is going to be real bad. I didn't realize it was going to be boring as all hell. I was so bored. It was so hard to get through this one. But I almost picked a different movie because I was like, I've been there.
I've been there. I'm like, can I make it through this? I don't know if I can.
Yeah, it was not great.
Okay.
So, yes.
Exciting.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about 2009's The Occultist.
Oh.
Yes. Which is from the same company that did Lizzie Borden's Revenge.
Oh.
And Jurassic Shark.
Oh.
Yes, but it's not just Tomcat Productions. Uh-huh. They're Sterling Entertainment now.
Oh.
So I'm pretty sure they changed their name, but they're all still part of, like, Tomcat Productions, I think. I'm not, like...
Because on Jurassic Shark, there was another company that helped produce it, too. I don't remember what it's called, but it was, like, in conjunction. So, yeah, I don't know if that's the same.
Maybe they're hanging out together.
Maybe.
So.
But it wasn't that company that you just said. It was a different one.
Well, I don't remember.
But either way, I don't know. That's okay.
Well, if it's not, then people need to be stopped. So we start off with the opening scene is a B-roll surgery. Okay. So if you're not into surgical procedures, this isn't the movie for you. Okay. And I want you...
Wait, what's it called? Did you say what it
was? The Occultist.
Right,
yes.
right.
This same 3 little scenes of like 2-second little surgery cut things that are happening, they use over and over and over and over.
So it's like they just got like a free video clip and we're like, use it.
Yep.
And fill up the space. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we see that happening and it's just... But my favorite too is they're not even using like a scalpel. They're using one of the soldering tools that is like supposed to use to like stop your like to cauterize and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And, like, but from everything that I was seeing from it, it looks like it was a fat removal surgery. Like, they're removing fat. They're not just, like, doing a normal kind of... They're just removing fat. So it looked to me like it was a plastic surgery kind of a thing.
Okay.
And not a...
Normal medical surgery. Yeah. It's like, what is it supposed to be?
Just surgery. Like,
okay.
They're just wanting it to be spooky and creepy and, like...
This doesn't lead into anything?
Not exactly. Well, they just keep using it again and again. Okay. Anyway, so we see that happening. And we meet Dr. Sander? I don't know how to pronounce his name. They said it so many fucking times in the movie. But, like, it's Szandor. So
Xandor?
Maybe? I don't know if the S is supposed to be silent, but, like... Because a couple of them said it differently throughout the movie. So, like, they were just pronouncing it weird, and I was just like, I don't fucking know, man.
Can't you get, like, consistency?
I don't.
Come on.
Well, and he had a really weird accent, and so I'm not sure if he was attempting to have a weird accent, or if he was a foreign guy who was coming to the country trying to speak English. So, like, I also wasn't entirely sure if his hair was a wig or not.
All right.
Because it never moved. Like you know how just normal hair just kind of like... Because he had it a little bit longer. Okay. It kind of came down to his chin, but it, like, flipped out at the bottom a little. Okay? But it just never moved.
It didn't have flow.
No. And so, like, if that was a wig, it was pretty realistic looking hair, okay? If that wasn't a wig, they did a really good job making it look like it was a realistic looking wig. So, like, I'm going to show you a picture of him later, or, like, a little scene, and you're going to know what I'm talking about, because I was just like... And these poor guys were baking under the lights the whole time. Everyone was so shiny and so sweaty. I felt so bad for them, right?
Like, we need powder in here? Yeah. Powder, anybody?
So, Dr. Xandor. I'm just going to call him Xandor.
Okay.
So,
that sounds like a Star Trek name.
Right? I know, right?
Xandor.
So, he's reading a book and smoking a cigarette, and it's kind of got a little bit of occultisty things in it, but it looks, honestly, like somebody printed off a Bible and then just drew in a bunch of, like, occultisty stuff, but, like, edited out where Bible verses were supposed to be and just entered in. It's
spooky shit.
Spooky shit, right? 2 of their students, Eric and Francis, are there with another teacher who is named Dr. Shiva, okay? And this woman is wearing, like, this leather corset.
A doctor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And her hair is slicked back into this, like, high ponytail. So she looks like the classic kind of just bad guy look from older movies. Anyway, and the worst fucking eyeliner. It was just so bad. And she also had an accent too. So I was like, who are these people? Who are you getting? Or are you attempting to I just don't know. Anyway, so they're standing there looking at a couple of severed hands.
Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't know. What do you think, Dr. Zandor? And he was just like, it doesn't matter and stuff. And she goes, we'll go with the bigger hand. It'll be easier to write on. And Eric is like, what are we writing on the hands? And she was like, well, you know what the 7 sins are, right? And he starts, like, about to list them. And the girl, Frances, steps in, and she just starts, like, lust, gluttony, pride. And, like,
smart one.
Yeah, lists them off. And then Eric is like, I hate you. Like, he would just constantly throughout the movie, she would say something, and he would be like, I already knew that, bitch.
Stop one-upping me.
Yeah. They literally, one time later in the classroom, she just says something, and he leans over and he's like, I hate you. And she's like, feelings mutual. And I was like, for no reason. He just leans over and says it to her. And I was like, can you two just fuck already and get it over with? Because, like, shut up.
Either that or, like, are you brother and sister?
Yeah, because, like...
Okay. The sexual tension is real.
It's like a fucking Folgers Christmas ad. So,
excuse me?
You haven't seen those?
I mean, probably... What?
Go Google that. So...
Did someone... I need an explanation.
I really hope it's a comedy, but if it's real, that's a bad commercial.
Oh, no.
But they, like, cuss in it, so it can't be a real commercial, right? Like,
no.
Anyway.
Okay.
So, the Dr. Shiva starts explaining how you have to write the 7 deadly sins on the fingers, but on the thumb you have to write the unholy trinity. Okay. Which later on in the movie, they say the unholy trinity is Lucifer, Satan, and his minions.
Okay.
Minions, not minion. Minions. So there's multiple. So that doesn't mean trinity.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
It's the all-encompassing minion.
I guess. Anyway. So they're going off about how they have to write the sins on the hand and stuff, and then they have to, like, chant something over the hand. And
Is Lucifer not Satan?
Not according to Satanists.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Well, according to the show Lucifer, he is.
He is. I know, according to a lot of different... I don't know. I've seen a few of them where they have Satan and Lucifer are different people and stuff, like, because Lucifer was the angel that fell, and Satan was the one that actually tempted him to fall, kind of thing. Like, so there's... it's just different interpretations.
So he's the devil, but he's not Satan? Mm-hmm. I don't know. We don't need to get into religion here. It's fine.
It is fine. It really depends on what one you're looking at, too. So, like, anyway. And so then... Eric said something to Dr. Zandor, and Dr. Zandor was, like, trying to explain what they were doing, but then Eric says something a little snarky back, and I watched it a couple of times, and I still never really understood what he was saying, and so then Dr. Shiva was like, you need to watch how you talk to him, and he's like, yes, forgive me, doctor, and then she's like, good, now get out of here, go on, go, and, like, screams at them, and they, like, leave, and they really honestly hadn't even done that much. She was like instantly
get out of here.
1 to 1,000, right?
Have you ever heard of the term white fanging?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know the book obviously, but on New Girl, there's this thing called white fanging where you're like, get out of here, go on.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's what it made me think of. But anyway,
I don't know why I think of Free Willy, but like, sorry, don't choke, please.
Okay, that was great. Okay.
Anyway, so the whole time, though, Dr. Xander looks, like, really uncomfortable at all of this. And so Dr. Shiva is like, what is your problem? And he's like, how do we even know this is going to work? And she's like, we both agreed to do this, right? We can't back out now. And I was like, yeah, you got severed hands in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, like, back out.
No.
Right?
You can't just throw those in the trash.
You can't just do that. Yeah. And so he was like, we're not even sure if it's going to work. And she's like, well, we have to try. And he's like, but don't you know what's going to happen if it doesn't work? And she was like, then we'll make sure that it does work.
How?
And I'm like, but what is
You just had a whole conversation about how it might not work.
Right? But
so...
like...
Also, what is it?
I'm like, what is the mistake? What happens? We find out at the end of the movie, but like they don't tell you now. So she starts like cleaning up her hands and she's like, it's time to go check on our guests, right? So then we get the opening credits, which shows a bunch of flames, doctor charts, satanic images, blah, 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 before we pan over what they're calling a college.
Okay.
It's just an old building. So
okay.
I don't know. It's an old building. And inside a classroom, and I use quotation marks very, very liberally here. It looks to me like they rented out a couple of storage containers so that they could decorate them to look like different rooms and stuff, because they're not very big rooms at all. Mm-hmm. And they have a couple of folding tables set up, and there's 3 students per, like, folding table, okay? There's literally, like, 8 kids in this class, okay? 2 of them are the evil kids.
Right.
So, like, yeah.
Okay.
And... anyway, but they're sitting there, and it starts kind of panning over them so that we can see who the students are, and they're looking like they're in the middle of a test where they're like thinking and then writing down something, but they're just writing on like notebook paper. And so I was like, oh, maybe they're like focusing on notes that are being taken or something on a board. Nope, it's silent. The room is silent. Nothing is happening. They're straight up just like told, look like you're doing something school wise. And so they're like, yeah, okay,
that's a good, let's write that down.
Yeah, like,
okay,
yeah.
Maybe they've been tasked with an essay.
But nah.
Okay.
They're just, anyway, so then Dr. Shiva is standing in front of the class explaining what their final exam is gonna consist of, and she just starts, like, listing off different medical things, because apparently this is a medical school.
Right.
And all these kids are supposed to be, like, trying to be surgeons and stuff, right? Which, I
feel like if you're going to medical school, you're paying a lot of money, and if I walked up and saw the school that you just described, I'd be like, yeah, maybe I'll get my degree somewhere else.
Right.
Thanks.
Also, every single girl was wearing a tank top. All of them. Every single one.
Cool.
Some kind of a tank top, right? And little booty shorts and skirts and stuff, and like only one of them was wearing pants. And the teacher, Shiva, walks in her leather outfit. Like, not even, she doesn't even have, like, a jacket over it. Nothing. Like, just, that's what she's wearing. While Dr. Xandor is over there in, like, full-blown, like, vampire cloak kind of a thing.
What?
He doesn't have, like, the big collar, but he's wearing, like, this big black cloak over his clothes and stuff. And they're all like, why does he dress like a weirdo?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, maybe it's just because it's Halloween or something and stuff. So apparently it's Halloween, right?
Okay.
And anyway, so Shiva is talking about their exam and is like listing off all the things. And then she goes, does anyone have any questions? And the douchebag kid, I'm calling him douchebag because he's a douchebag, later raises his hand and he goes, yeah, you didn't tell us what time the exam is at. And she goes, did I?
No.
And the girl sitting next to douchebag, which I call dumb girl, like starts laughing about it. And I'm like, but okay, so first of all, the teacher is very much just like, did I forget though? Did I? And then the girl starts laughing, obviously as a reaction to the teacher being kind of snarky back to him. Mm-hmm. And Xandor was like, do you have anything to add to the conversation, dumb girl? And she's like, no. And he's like, oh, that's what I thought. And you should be studying right now because there's going to be no one that you can cheat off of this time. And I'm like, okay. Like, why would the dumb girl be here in medical school then? Like,
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, yep. And so then the teacher was like, well, yes, we will have the exam tonight at 10 o'clock at my house. And
no.
Yeah.
How about no?
Right? And they're all kind of like, what the fuck?
That sounds like the beginning of a porno.
Right? Like, that's what I was thinking the whole time. I was
like you will come one at a time. Get it?
Oh, goodness.
Okay, sorry.
You're okay. Well, so they're all like, why? Kind of a thing. Like, why would we do that? And she goes, well, I was thinking we could have a Halloween party after to celebrate everybody, like, finishing their final. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that kind of makes sense. Like, sure. But also kind of weird. Yeah. But I mean, I guess if you're also in a school with only 6 students, you become pretty close with your teachers,
True.
right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Well, they talk about other students, but obviously you never see them. So, like, anyway.
Can't afford those.
Can't afford them, nope. So, but the best part is that she explains that, like, they're going to have a party afterwards, and she goes, there is one thing, though. Once you start your exam, you will not be allowed to leave my house until you finish the exam. And they're all like, you can't do that! That's kidnapping! And I'm like, first of all,
no.
That's them being like, well, you can't just, like, leave and come back.
Just finish the exam.
You have to finish the exam, and then you can go the fuck home. Like, what are you talking about here?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like, why are you freaking out?
I don't know. They're all just freaking out over it. I'm just...
Okay.
Also, I just, like, suddenly realized that none of that makes any sense for the rest of the movie.
They don't listen to that rule?
But the others don't fucking matter. Anyway,
okay.
So... But they're all like, that's kidnapping. And she was like, this is my school and I make the decisions for things. Just because I am backed by the Catholic Church doesn't mean anything Okay. I get to make my own rules. And when you all signed up for my school, you agreed to those rules. And they're all like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess we did. And I'm like,
what kind of school is this?
Right? I don't know.
I'm going to unenroll, thank you.
I know, she just goes on for way too long about that, though. Anyway, Dr. Zandor decides that he also wants to give a lecture at 6 p.m. about the occult with how it has affected medical procedures and stuff. And
I didn't know it had.
I don't...
I guess that's why we need teaching.
I know, and all of these people are like, what does that have to do with anything? Like,
also,
right? Like,
what are these random, 6 o'clock random lectures and 10 o'clock tests?
Right?
And,
I don't know. This is very weird timing.
Yeah, have the test at 6 and do a party after, not 10. I'm asleep by 10.
I know, right? No, fuck. Bowl of pasta and I'm out. Thank you. They're all like, that's really stupid. But the teachers leave, and the whole class starts bitching about having the exam so late, right? And they, turn to Eric and Francis, and they're like, we bet you knew all about this, teachers' pets. Why didn't you warn us about it? And they were like, we wouldn't have warned you, blah, 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 because we're senior students, and we knew this was going to happen, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. Why are you yelling at them? Why are we yelling at them?
Hostile.
Yeah, very hot. But I mean, I guess it's because they're both fucking evil and are rude as shit anyway. So, I don't know. Everyone hates them, though, right?
Okay.
Well, they get up and storm out of the room. And so Lilith, who's part of the class...
Of course.
Yes. Is like, why don't we all just study together? And Douchebag and Dumb Girl are like, that's dumb. See you later. We're going to go study together. So they leave, right?
Okay.
And so then Lilith turns to Michelle and Carla. It is like, so are you going to come study with me and Adam? And they were like, no, we're going to study together. And Carla was like, are we? And Michelle was like, yes, we are. Okay. Yes. So they were like, right, yeah, we're going to study together. And they leave because they're banging.
Oh.
And not that it matters for the story whatsoever.
Don't you love that?
Nothing happens.
Just gotta slip in the sex.
Yeah, well, but they don't even have sex.
Oh.
They literally just, mentioned it later where she was like, so are you, serious? And Michelle was like, about what? Oh, you mean, you and me? I mean, no, unless, you are. And Carla's like, I mean, no, we're not, right? And she was like, yeah, so we're not. And that's it. That's all we get. And I was like, so thanks for queer baiting nobody.
I love when they slip shit like that in and they're like, it'll be good for backstory. Yeah. You're like, I don't need it.
I don't need that.
That's unnecessary.
That has nothing to do with anybody.
No.
You're literally just trying to say there's some gay people here for the sake of having gay people in the story. That's not representation.
No.
That's bullshit. Rude. Yeah.
King 2009.
Right?
Okay.
It's just bullshit.
Were either of them the ethnic lesbian?
Both of them.
Okay.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so Michelle was black, right? So token ethnic lesbian right there. Which, I don't know, all of you may need to know this. I have an issue with the token ethnic lesbian. Name any fucking show that has a lesbian in it, and there's the token ethnic one. Yeah. Why? Because she's a female, that's a lesbian, that's, brown.
Yeah.
So, there you go. You've hit 3 right there. So,
Always.
If there's a gay guy, he's white. Promise you.
Pretty much. 99% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if he's a black person, everyone's like,
oh. Yep. But he's already married and looking to adopt. True. That's what it is.
That is true.
It is. Name any fucking show that has a lesbian in it, obviously. Yeah. So, but yeah. Anyway, so they decide to go off to study together, and Adam and Lilith are left alone to study. And they had mentioned earlier that Adam is a virgin, and everybody kind of is like, this is so, me. And I'm like, first of all, you're at a Catholic college.
We need to throw that stereotype
right
out of the freaking
boat. Everybody wants to be like, oh, it's not cool to be a virgin. And I was like, how about it's cool to wait until you're ready?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I would be the best sex ed teacher of all time. I already know exactly how I would teach that class.
I'd sign up.
Anyway, so they're just kind of talking, and we learn very quickly that Lilith is the headstrong, independent kind of gal, and Adam is more of the meek, just
submissive,
nice guy. Yeah, that's what they call him throughout the movie, is the nice guy, right? So later, I guess again at Dr. Shiva's house, there is a pregnant woman lying on a gurney. Not an operating table, a gurney.
Okay.
And because you can't afford an operating table, you can only afford a gurney, right? Yeah. So there's a pregnant woman laying on on this gurney and begging for them not to do this, and she won't tell anyone what's going on. And Shiva goes, "That doesn't matter!" Just like that. I'm not joking.
Okay.
I watched that scene 7 times. And she's like, that doesn't matter. You betrayed our Lord Lucifer.
Oh, no.
I think I've got her accent down pretty good, not gonna lie. And then because she betrayed Lucifer, they need to have her unholy bloodline ended, right? So they're just gonna kill her and kill her baby.
Oh.
Yep. And I was like, do we get to know what this woman did to betray Lucifer? No idea.
Why?
She probably donated to a church. I don't know. So she starts cutting into her stomach, and we get more B-roll footage of this stupid surgery going on. But it's a lot of like this weird sound going on at the same time. Also, it is the most like plasticky, rubbery like body that they're cutting into, obviously.
Like and CPR dummy.
It's so bad. It's so bad. And they do the same thing with one of the other girls later, but they also had to like make her fake boobs too to like, it was all bad.
Okay.
And it goes on.
Oh no.
For 4 minutes.
Of them cutting her open?
Of them cutting her open. They do have a couple of quick flashes of them talking to each other. Mm-hmm. Like, Shiva tells Francis to don't forget to collect the blood, and then they go back to cutting. And Xandor is looking super uncomfortable the whole time, right? While this woman, who is definitely not dying on the table, something else is going on with her, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
Because that's not how dying people sound.
Why does everyone think that pain, I mean, it does sound kind of similar, but like, there's a difference.
Yeah. I'm very much watching this, and I was like, that is not...
If anyone heard what was going on and they didn't know, then they would think other things.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so Shiva's like, what is your problem, Xandor? And she's like, you've done this plenty of times before. And he's like, yes, but all of my patients were unconscious. Like, I'm not cutting them open while they're, like, awake, you know? And she was like, the pain is necessary for our ceremony, and just going off about it, and just... Then more cutting and more B-roll footage, and it goes on so fucking long. It's so ridiculous. I can't believe they went on so long with that. And then finally, they, like, yank this rubber baby out. Mm-hmm. Like, just yank it right out. And hand it over to Xandor, and he's holding it by the legs upside down. And that's the end of the scene. We don't get to find out any more shit about that. Nothing else.
Okay.
Yep, I don't fucking know.
Does it matter?
No, absolutely not. It just shows that they're all fucking monsters.
Okay.
Yep. Wait, so we're back at the school, and the dumb girl and the douchebag are, like, sitting in this one room, and they're kind of flirting a little bit, but also, like, not, and just... He's being mean to her the whole time, and keeps, like, expecting her to put out, kind of a thing.
Why?
And I don't...
Another... Ooh.
But she keeps, like, calling him out for it. She's like, you're such an asshole, you're such a jerk, blah, 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 like, all this stuff. And I was like, yes, good, tell him what's what, right?
But, like, be real about it.
Yeah. And he just kind of keeps mentioning that, like, Adam is the one that she keeps cheating off of because he lets her because he's such a nice guy. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, well, why do you want to be a surgeon? And he was like, I'm going into plastic surgery so I can give flat-chested girls big, pretty tits. And I'm like, nobody's gonna go to you, I promise. So anyway, they start like going off about the stupid lecture and everything, and she was like, yeah, what does the occult have to do with like medical procedures and stuff? And he's like, well, I think it had something to do with it back in like the Dark Ages, medieval, but like not anymore now. Yeah, he's like, they don't do shit like that anymore. He's like, unless you're planning on sacrificing someone. And she responds, well, maybe he's gonna mix a spell and take our souls. And I was like, mix a spell? You dumb bitch. Like,
on Halloween, you dumb bitch.
You dumb bitch. But I'm like,
mix a spell.
A spell. I've never heard that in my life.
No.
And I'm pretty sure she missaid the line.
Maybe,
so, like,
unless
like, they
just
wrote
keep
that.
It. We can't do it again. Just keep it.
Yeah. Anyway, so he makes fun of her. She gets mad at him and lays back on the gurney they're sitting on because they're at a doctor school. And yeah, and he lays down next to her, and they're still chatting a little bit. It's all nonsense conversation, and they hear a door open, and she was like, still laying on the gurney, goes, what was that? And he goes, I don't know, maybe it was the janitor or something. And she was like, oh, well, maybe we should figure it out, like, you know, like, we're maybe not supposed to be in here or something. And he goes, well, if it is the janitor, why don't you give him a surprise and jump up and flash your boobs at him? And she's like, oh my gosh, you're so stupid. And
who talks like this?
Nobody talks like this. Absolutely no one talks like this. If you talk like this, you don't actually exist. No. So, like, you don't.
No, sorry.
Yeah, like, to me, it feels like if aliens came to Earth and this is what we showed them, like, this is, you know, they would immediately leave.
Yeah.
Like, they've already seen what they need to see.
We're good.
And I'm done. We're done. We're done.
Enough of this planet. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, they keep hearing a noise, and so Douchebag gets up to see if it is the janitor or whatnot. But my favorite is because I'm pretty sure they're in storage units, they just have, like, sheets hanging on the walls.
Oh, gosh.
So that's what they're using instead of, like, doors, because you can't see the Anyway, so Eric, the bad guy, throws back a sheet and stabs the douchebag in the chest with a scalpel. Okay, which, scalpels are bad. Okay, scalpels are really bad. One straight to the chest, that's it. Like, they're like an inch long. They're not going to do that much damage, okay? Yeah. So, like, you got to be, like, have enough force with that it's getting to the heart, or it's getting to the lungs, or it's getting...
Puncturing
something. But, like, no. He just gets him square in the chest, and the kid dies. But it's, like, sticking out of him mostly. So, like, anyway. So then Frances runs in, too, and they both grab the dumb girl, right? And she barely fights back. She doesn't even scream.
Okay.
Barely fights back, right? And they're barely holding on to her while Frances wraps a bandage around her mouth to keep her from, like, screaming or something.
Okay.
But she doesn't scream, ever, at all. And then apparently is unconscious.
Good.
Yes. So, constitution of -1.
Yes.
So, like, that's...
just straight out.
It's just, yep.
All right.
So there's that. Back at the classroom, they're waiting for the lecture to start. And Carla and Michelle start talking about how they went and Googled Dr. Zandor and stuff and found out that he's actually, like, way into Nazis and shit. And that the Nazis were into the occult and, like, all this other shit. Does that really have to do with anything? No. It's just
more backstory that we need.
More backstory that we don't
fucking...
It makes
sense.
Yep. And so that's what they're doing. So then they also wonder where douchebag and dumb girl are when Shiva and Xander walk in and start their stupid lecture. And it drags so fucking long right here. This is like a 10-minute scene of stuff I don't care about.
Okay.
And they're like, oh, it's apparently important to the movie. And I was like, and you couldn't have made it any more entertaining, please? Yeah. Like, if I need to know about this? Yeah. And they just start talking about the elements and how they actually, like, represent certain things with the body and blah, 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 occult shit and blah, 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 this. And Carla says something, and Xandor chews her out for it. She then leans back and very, like, whisper, like, loud whisper, like, is like, fucking jerk to Michelle. And Michelle's like, yeah, why is he dressed like that? And, like, while they're there, like, this isn't a big lecture hall. I'm not joking when I say, like
right in front of them.
Yeah, like, this room is twice the size the room that was.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, they're in teeny tiny little room. Like, this is about the size of the table they were sitting at.
They couldn't have, like, rented a conference room at a hotel.
Nope.
Or, like, a library.
Nope.
Or
anything else.
Something.
Somewhere. No.
Like, talk to your janitor at the local high school and be like, hey, can we...
Yeah.
Like, something.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of, like junior college or, like, you know, local community colleges that if you pay them $30, they'll let you use their classroom.
Yeah.
To, like, film in for a few hours. Like, especially after hours. They're not gonna fucking care.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Nope.
Sheets. We like sheets.
Well, this one looks like they bought, like, weird wall paneling and put up the wall paneling. Everything else was sheets. This was the only room where they had actual, like...
Okay. It's the lecture hall.
Yes, I'll show...
Very important.
I will get pictures of this one.
Yes, please.
Yes. Anyway, so they are waiting... Or the lecture's going on, and while they're talking shit, Dr. Shiva kicks him out. And I'm like, I would too. You're talking shit about me, in front of me, in the middle of my class. Like, fuck off. So they kick them out. And this is where they have their stupid conversation of, like, oh, are we a thing? No, we're not? Okay. Yep, that's it. That's
in the middle of
the hallway.
Outside, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And they were like, well, this is the perfect opportunity for us to go study. They don't go study. They decide to go break into Dr. Shiva's office to see if they can find the answers for her exam. So they're just going to cheat at her house with her exam notes. Like, I don't fucking... Anyway. So they go back into the classroom and they're talking while we keep seeing clips of Eric and Frances wrapping up the bodies of douchebag and dumb girl. So they've just now killed dumb girl.
Okay.
And cut off their hands.
Right.
Yes.
Need those.
Mm-hmm. And we just keep seeing flashes of that going on, and Dr. Xandor is getting to the end of the lecture, and he's talking about how you need hands for certain ceremonies, and that the right hand is the hand of God, and the left hand is the hand of the devil and stuff, and that's why in many cultures they use their left hand only to wipe with and stuff, and if you're caught stealing, they cut off your right hand so that you have to eat with your unclean hand and all this shit. Like, just, it goes on so fucking long. And more B footage. As they're talking about this. Mm-hmm. There's more B footage of the surgery.
Okay.
Just as they're talking. They're, like, flipping that thing in whenever they can. And I'm like, did you spend, like, $40 on it and you feel like you want to get your money's worth?
Yep.
Because... Anyway, so they decide that's the end of the lecture and they leave, right? Mm-hmm. And so Adam and Lilith are talking about how they probably need to study more. And that they want to get food at the cafeteria because it's getting pretty late, but they want to keep studying, and so they obviously can't leave to go get food and then come back and like...
Right.
Anyway, so they go to the cafeteria to study, and Adam thinks that all of this is stupid, that they don't need to know any occult shit, and Lilith starts like trying to explain it to him better about how the difference between Satan and Lucifer and blah, 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 blah. It's just like she knows way more about it than she should kind of a thing. Yeah. And the whole time, though, I was like, yeah, because her name is fucking Lilith.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Anyway... So, later on, Adam and Lilith are studying, or they're trying to study. They're in that same room that Dumb Girl and Douchebag were in, where they got killed. Okay?
Okay.
And they're not, their bodies aren't there anymore, so,
right.
Anyway. So they're trying to study, and they kind of start talking about the fact that Adam is a virgin, and it's just, I don't know how they get onto the conversations that they get onto, but that he does want to have sex, he's just waiting for the right girl.
Good.
Right?
Thank
and
you.
I was like, yeah, good job. And Lilith is like, don't you think that's a little silly? And he was like, no.
Okay.
I'm just wanting to wait until I'm ready. And she was like, well, I don't think you should let all those people talk to you like they've been talking to you. I think you should kick their asses. And he was like, well, I wasn't really raised that way. And she was like, well, I think, you know, like, you're over there, like, turn the other cheek, right? I think that would make me look weak and blah, 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 blah. Like, just...
Okay.
I know. And I'm like, how about you let people live their lives?
Yeah.
Lilith, how about you let people do that? Anyway.
Yeah. Calm down.
Yeah. And she's like, she says there's a difference between being good and looking after yourself. And I'm like, there's
sure.
a little bit of a difference. Yeah. But kicking the shit out of people is not looking after yourself.
No. It's
That's
making enemies is what it's doing.
Yeah. And going to jail.
Yeah. For assault.
Yep. So Adam goes, I've never really thought about it like that before. And he kind of like looks down at the floor and notices blood. And he's like, oh my gosh, is that blood? So then the scene changes and we're back to Shiva's house and we get the opening scene again of them in her kitchen where he's reading a book and she's looking at the hands. And it's not just like a quick like, oh, this ties back into what happened earlier.
Uh-huh.
We get the whole fucking scene again where they're talking, they like start listing the demons again and they start, or the sins, and they start like yelling at each other and like
what?
It's the whole fucking scene again. But at this point we now know that the hands are actually dumb girls and douchebags. So
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are better ways to do that.
Mm-hmm. You think? You'd really think? Mm-hmm. So we get the whole scene again and it flashes back now, because I'm not retelling you about that scene. I've already told you about it. We flash back to, and again, that scene is like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
This is an hour-and-a-half movie.
Only because of that.
Yeah. And I'm like...
They were like, put in more surgery footage.
Yes.
And just repeat the scenes a couple times, and then it'll double the length of the movie.
It was just so stupid, right? And so that's why my notes are so short, because I'm like, I'm just not going to keep writing about the 4-minute-long surgery scene. Anyway... So we're back at Dr. Shiva's office with Michelle and Carla, and they're not finding anything about the exam. And Carla's like, well, it's probably because she knew you would come looking through here. And I was like, except they were talking about how Dumb Girl was the one that was cheating, not Michelle. Yeah. Like, I just...
So everyone's cheaters?
I guess.
Just everyone.
And I'm like, yeah, all of you are going to plan to become doctors? Did you really think you would just show up to the hospital and be like, so I don't actually know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do stuff? Like,
just cheated.
That's how you get sued.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, so... Anyway, but while they're there, they hear someone coming in, or like walking down the hall. So they duck behind the desk because there's nowhere else to hide. And the light gets turned off. And Eric comes walking in, right? And jumps them. But apparently, we're supposed to believe that it's pitch black in there. Because Carla later is like stumbling around, like trying to touch and feel. Yeah. Touch and feel for the light switch.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can see what's going on because that's how they have to do it in certain movies. But like, but we're supposed to believe that it's pitch black in here. And Eric finds them with ease and like knocks them out with a syringe. Do we see the syringe? Not really. We see some kind of little white thing in his hand. We see syringes later, but we don't see him holding a syringe. Anyway, so he apparently knocks them out.
Okay.
And then plays eeny, meeny, miny, mo to pick who he's going to take with him. And it happens to be Michelle. So he leaves Carla knocked out on the ground and drags Michelle off, right? And next, Adam and Lilith find more blood from Douchebag and Dumb Girl. And they're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? Like, there's blood all over the floor. The trash can has a bloody sheet in it. What do we do? When smoke gets, like, pumped into the room. Okay? And I don't fucking know. Anyway, so they pass out, right? They pass out. And they pass
it's like
out.
noxious gas?
Yeah, some kind of drug.
Also, who leaves a bloody sheet in the trash can in the room where they killed someone?
Dummies. Dumb people.
Stupid idiots. Don't do that if you're going to murder someone. Come on.
Exactly. Don't
Not that I
crime,
know, but like, come on.
Anyway, so later, Carla comes to and gets up and she's like trying to call for Michelle and finds the light switch, and she flicks on the light switch just to see Shiva standing there in the dark with a syringe, who then jumps her and knocks her out again. And I'm like, so you were just chilling in the dark with a syringe?
Waiting for her to wake up and be dramatic as fuck?
To knock her out again?
Yeah.
Like, why did you not just inject her with more?
Double tap and yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't fucking know.
Drama.
I don't understand. Yep. Just... This is why I would be a better villain. So Adam and Lilith wake up right after that too, realizing that they are in danger, and go run to hide, right? Mm-hmm. And this is where I guess Dr. Shiva had like pumped gas into their room because she was hoping to knock them out, but it didn't knock them out as long as she wanted it to. Okay. So she realizes that they're not in the room anymore and that they've run to hide, and she's like, oh shit, we have to find them, right? And so there she goes and gets Eric, who Eric and Francis are now just like hanging out in the classroom waiting for shit to go down, I guess, right? They're just sitting there.
Like, we did our part.
Right? So she runs in, and she's like, Eric, I need you to come with me and find Adam and Lilith because they're missing. Francis, I need you to take Carla back to my house because she's knocked out in my room, or my office and stuff. And they were like, yes! And they go off to do their things, right? Well, Adam and Lilith hide in their classroom, which I thought was the classroom they were in and that Eric and Francis are sitting in, but I don't fucking know. So they get in there and they hide behind the podium that the teacher's been standing behind, okay? The podium that is like one person.
One person wide.
Yeah. And they're both just like sitting on either side of it, not even sitting like against it. Like they're just kind of chilling off to the side, right? Okay. Anyway, at that moment, but my favorite, they stop and they're standing against the door and they hear... And they're like, shit, what should we do? We should hide. And then run and hide. And then Shiva opens the door and she's like, Adam, are you in here? Adam? I guess not. And leaves, right? And I'm like, what? You knocked on the door. They said, shit, we should hide. Because they're sitting well across the room now. They're sitting at the 10 feet away from the door podium. Yeah. And here's Shiva telling Eric that they have to bring Adam back alive, okay? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what happens to Lilith. Shoot her if you have to, and, like, gives him a gun, okay? And she's like, I don't give a damn what happens to Lilith, kind of a thing. And I'm like... Wow, I'd be offended. Right? Jeez. I know, I'd be like... Rude. Right? Anyway, so all that shit's going down. And, Adam thinks that they should call the police, but Lilith is like, what are we going to tell them? That our teacher murdered a couple of our other students and is waiting for us to get to her house so she can murder us too? Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about police officers. If you call them, they have to show up. Yeah. That's the rule. Them's the rules. Yeah. So I'm so sick of these movies where they're like, what are we supposed to do? Call the police? Like, it was one thing, because they showed at the beginning of the movie, was that Shiva had taken all their cell phones because she said that she didn't want them cheating during the test. Sure. Right? So it would have been different if they were like, how are we supposed to call the police? She has our cell phones. That's what they should have said. Yeah. Not. What do you think the police are going to do? Yeah, exactly. Doesn't matter if they believe you. If they come out and they find hands of bodies, and also bodies of bodies. Yep. Like, okay. Be like, take one look at Dr. Shiva and tell me she's not an evil bitch, okay? Right, exactly. Arrest her. Look at the fucking eye makeup. That's terrible. And I'm like, I just wish that would have been a so much easier, believable plot for me. Like, they always have to have some really fucking stupid excuse as to why you can't call the police because your phones aren't working, right? Yeah. And I'm like, that's why I think in every movie it should be their phone somehow breaks, or they're very much in an area where there is no service that is believable because Verizon gets service everywhere. Yeah. But like, I mean, this was 2009. True. To be fair. True. But they didn't have their cell phones. And like, I mean, I'm sure they could have found a phone in a building. It's a college. There's a phone somewhere. But like, you know, they're also being hunted down somewhere. So like, they're hiding. So anyway, so they're like arguing about it for a minute. And Adam kind of grabs his head in pain because she's like, oh my gosh, Adam, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I guess whatever that knockout gas was, like, it's still affecting me. My head's killing me. And so she's like, here, let me help you with that. And turns him around and goes to like rub his head. But she pulls this little vial of like pink liquid out of her bra, pours some onto her hand, and then starts like rubbing it onto his head. And he's like, oh, that smells really good. Is that your perfume? And she was like, yeah, it's called Seduction. And starts like rubbing his head and stuff. And he's like, okay, like we need to stop. And she's like pulling him into her more. And she's like, what? Don't you want this, Adam? And he was like, well, yeah, but like not right now. Like this is like
not the time and
also, stuff.
Does your perfume have pheromones in it?
I'm guessing it's some kind of fucking aphrodisiac, because he like kind of starts really getting into it and keeps telling her, no, we should wait. And she's like, no, we shouldn't. Like, it's okay. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone, this is called rape.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so like they bang. And like,
yeah, it doesn't matter if it's the girl being pressuring.
Yep.
That's still not
if
good.
If you say no means no. And they're like, eventually he kind of says yes, but that's because he's being drugged.
That's coercion and drugging.
So
still not good.
Anyway,
but that's like under the influence.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he can't consent.
Nope.
And anyway.
And you know he wants to be a virgin, you jerk.
Right? Well, but like, the thing is that he was waiting for the right time. It makes sense later on in the story, but it's still rape. It's not okay with me. Anyway, So they bang, and we go back to Shiva's house, and Dr. Xandor and Francis are down in the basement. They've got Michelle there, all tied up, and they start operating on her and taking out all of her guts for no reason.
Okay.
And with more fucking B footage. And this went on for like 3 minutes. 3 minutes of just B footage and stuff. And at one point,
I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, they have a couple of scenes that are like kind of pixelated-ish of them like digging in there. But my favorite is at one point, Xander's got some tweezers that he's in there, and he's like scrambling about, like he's mixing a cake or something, like he's trying to get something out. And I was like, I mean, you're killing her anyway, but like, I guess, fuck, man,
wow. You're not scrambling a brain, you Egyptian.
Yeah, like, they're just like it's just. And I laughed a little bit at that, and I feel really bad. Sorry, Michelle. But, like, this is also where we get to see that, like, the fake boobage that they made, too, and stuff, you know? And my favorite is, it looks terrible because, she's black, and so they have to, like, make the skin look black, and you can tell that it's, like, the worst made, because the dark, like, reflects all the light and stuff, and it's so badly textured, and it's so bad. It looks awful, but they also, like, had to make it look like it was boobs, so you just have these, like, 2, like, boobs, like, sitting on her, and they're, like, the perkiest things. Yeah. When, they'd be hanging off to the side, and, like, anyway. Unless they're fake, but, like, you know. And that just goes on forever. And then Dr. Xandor just keeps talking about how beautiful she is and, like, a beautiful specimen, and says it, like, 16 times.
That's yucky.
He says it over and over and over again. Not in the same, like, oh, she's a beautiful specimen. Do this, Francis. Do this. Oh, this beautiful specimen. Da-da-da. No, he just, oh, beautiful. So beautiful. A beautiful specimen. Oh, so beautiful. And I'm like, oh.
That gives me the heebs.
Yeah. I don't like that at all. That's the worst part of the whole fucking movie. And
I feel violated.
I know, and he just goes on for way too long about it. But my favorite too is that he just, like, earlier he had a problem cutting open a pregnant lady because she wasn't sedated.
Yeah.
I don't think Michelle was sedated. So, like,
was she unconscious?
She was moaning. So, like, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, upstairs, Carla comes to in Shiva's house and is, like, looking around. She sees Nazi pictures. She sees more, like, Satanist things. She sees a bunch of pictures. I'm pretty sure Ted Bundy's picture was sitting in a picture frame, which I didn't think he was. I didn't think he was a Satanist, but
you learn new shit every day, apparently.
Yep. And so she gets up and she's trying to walk around and, like, find Michelle, and we turn around and we see Dr. Shiva doing the whole arm on the door frame thing. Like, she's trying to be seductive, and she's like, "What are you doing, Carla?" And Carla was like, "Why did you bring me here?" And she's like, "You blacked out, so I brought you to my house." And I'm like,
that's a perfectly logical explanation.
Yeah, right? And I'm like, no. If you're a doctor, hospital.
I mean, also a doctor's house.
True. But, like,
you know, obviously.
So, but for some reason, she tries to drag this on way too fucking long. Like, I'm like, are you planning on killing Carla in the first place? Because, like, why are we dragging this? Yeah. Just kill her.
Just, why didn't you also take her? And, why?
I don't know. So, they're talking for a good while, and they're talking about how Shiva's a Satanist, and how Xander's a Satanist, and Eric and Francis are Satanists and stuff, and just... So Carla tries to fight her off at one point, And I don't know what she has in her hand that she was gonna stab Shiva with, but Shiva knocks it away and like stabs her with another syringe. And it's like, oh, little Carla, what are you trying to do? And I was like, what are you trying to do? What is happening here?
Right?
Why are you giving her snacks, but being like... I'm so confused. Like, it's so bullshit. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, so at that moment, Adam and Lilith wake up in their underwear, and Adam is like, what the fuck is going on? And she was like, what? And he's like, why are we in our underwear? And she's like, because we were fucking. And he was like, okay, I would have put it in different words, but all right. And she was like, what? What's the problem? And he's like, but why? And she was like, it's flight or fight response.
Fuck you.
And he was like, what? And she's like, animals, if they believe that they're really in danger, will mate so that they, like, one of them can at least, carry on the bloodline.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's correct.
I mean, maybe in, like, the animal kingdom, but not, like, you...
Yeah, and he was like, so you're trying to tell me that we just slept together because I was afraid I was going to die? And she's like, yeah.
Not because I was drugged and I don't remember what happened?
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's called gaslighting.
Yeah. Bitch.
Sorry, I want to quiet that.
That was, yep.
But I was like, I know the term gaslighting is thrown around a lot, but that is gaslighting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, anyway, so they get dressed and they decide that they need to get out of there and stuff. And as they leave to go into the hallway, they run into Eric, who I'm like, has been searching the school apparently for them this whole time and doesn't hear a bunch of that going on in a classroom. Like, what part of the school were you at, sir?
In this very small school.
Yeah. That they then had time to fall asleep afterwards. Mm-hmm. So, like, anyway.
He's been wondering for a while.
So he comes out and is, like, gonna shoot Lilith and stuff. And so Adam grabs the gun. They tussle for a second. And Adam accidentally shoots Eric. And they were like, oh, crap, we gotta get out of here. So they go to run. But my favorite is that Eric is, like, sliding to the floor with blood gushing out of him and stuff, right? And you can totally see the pump that has the blood coming out. Just, like, pump, 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 like, pumping the blood out. And it's so bad. But also my favorite, too, is that it very much just looks like they had smeared blood on his shirt, or, like, poured blood on his shirt, and then, like, had the pump then pumping even more out, and, like, it was so bad. Well, it wasn't, like, squirting out, but you could see the mechanism, gushes. Yeah, the mechanism underneath, just, like, pumping, and, like... Anyway, so Adam and Lilith, for some reason, decide that they need to go to Shiva's house because I think they think they're going to save their friends. Mm-hmm. I'm like, they're not your friends. You don't like any of them. Call the police. So they get there. They get inside the house really easily. So this whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, Lilith is one of them and is, like, trying to just go about this all weirdly. Like, I don't fucking know, right? Mm-hmm. She's not. But, like, she gets inside. There's a bunch of Satanist shit around the house. And she's like, we need to find the others from our class. Walks immediately to the fridge and opens the door. And finds a bunch of organs sitting in the fridge. And she goes, I think I found them. And he starts like, oh my gosh. And she was like, are you going to act like this when you're a doctor? And he's like, no, but that's like people we know. Like, that's not okay.
That's not medical organs.
Yeah, like that's...
Also, why would you look in the fridge?
I don't know. That she went immediately to the fridge.
That's dumb shit.
Like, they didn't even kind of like glance around and her like, oh, maybe they've got a head in here. Nope.
Also, why would you think that?
I don't know. Why would you look in someone's fridge? I have no fucking clue.
Okay.
No idea.
There couldn't have been like a weird cooler with blood on it, and then the organs in the cooler?
Nope.
We should write movies.
We should write movies, right? So she also finds the tray with the hands on it and pulls them out, and she finds the hand of douchebag guy already has the names written, or like the sins and stuff written on it. And he's like, what the hell is that about? And she's like, don't you remember during the lecture? Like, Xander was telling us about this. And she was like, oh, but they've got it written down wrong. And he's like, what? How do you know that? And she was like, I read. And I'm like, that's not reading. That's... Anyway, they then decide to take the hand and go to the police for, like, to show them evidence and stuff. And I'm like, as a police officer, I would be like, who the fuck did you just kill? And why are you bringing me their hand, you know? But, like, so they decided to do that. Instead, they go to the school. It's not the police station, but, like, that's what they were doing. They were going to the police station, but they go to the school and just...
They just reuse the same place?
No, they go to the school. They go to the school because everything's happening at the school.
Instead of the police station.
Instead of the police station.
They're like, let's go to the police.
And they go to the school.
JK.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And as they're walking past, they walk past this, like, vent outside where they can hear, like, chanting going on from the inside. And it's 1,000% It's not Shiva or Xandor. I mean, they're the ones playing it, but I'm pretty sure they like went and bought chanting CDs, put it down so they could like do their ritual because they can't be doing all the chanting. Like they have to
focus.
They have to focus.
Put on the chanting playlist on Spotify.
As Satan or Lucifer or whoever it is you're summoning, I would be like, I'm sorry, you couldn't actually get a real choir to chant for me. I'm not coming.
You don't have a following?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Lilith like decides that they need to find out what's going on, and she convinces Adam that they need to go like save their friends and stuff, right? But my favorite is they're like, we have to find Carla. They don't know Michelle is dead.
Yeah.
They just keep talking about how they have to find Carla.
Just her.
We
don't care about Michelle.
Yeah, they don't know the douchebag and dumb girl are missing either. I mean, I'm sure they could assume at this point that they're probably dead. But, like, they don't know what happened to Michelle or Carla, but they're like, no, we need to save Carla.
So that was the writer's brain thinking and not...
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And it would have been different. Like, I don't know, maybe there was a scene missing where they went down to the basement and saw Michelle's dead body or something, because then I would have been like, holy shit, that means it's just Carla that's left alive.
Yeah.
Let's go find Carla. Yeah. Like, because obviously they didn't find anything that said it was Carla, but I'm like, but why would you assume that those hands happen to be douchebag and dumb girl's hands?
Yeah.
Because, like, there's nothing
unless
to be,
they, like, noted that there was a weird tattoo.
Yeah.
Or, like, you know, like,
nothing.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Her ring was on the finger. Or, yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Hands.
There's hands.
How would you know?
I would be like, these people are murdering people. I would assume that they're fucking anybody's hands.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway.
I want to sit in on a Tomcat writing session.
Right?
I just want to know what happens.
Nope.
That's all.
Yep. Yeah, so she convinces Adam that, like, they need to do it and it's what's right, and he's like, yeah, I guess you're right, okay. But she's also like, we need to go and stop them because everything that Dr. Xander said is wrong and they're doing the ritual wrong and we need to save Carla. And he's like, again, how do you know this? And she's like, I just do, trust me. And he's like,
why are you reading into occult shit?
Right? So then my other thought while I'm watching this was like, oh wait, maybe Lilith is actually a good person. Maybe she's like some like angel or something that was sent down here that's supposed to stop them, right?
Okay.
Like she's trying to figure out all this shit. But I'm like, she's way too... shouldn't be sleeping around and raping people. Anyway, but I was like, you know, I was hoping that she would be like a good guy in it.
We don't give a fuck what happens to Lilith.
Yeah. Like, anyway, so we show inside, and Shiva and Xandor are yelling at Francis, wondering where Eric is. And they're like, could he have gone to the police? And she's like, no, of course he wouldn't have. And they were like, well, where is he? We need Adam. Like, we need him to complete the ritual. And I'm guessing it's because he's a virgin.
But he's not anymore.
Right? So they come inside, or like Lilith and Adam jump into the room, and we see that Carla is on a gurney in front of them, and she's all cut up and like they're taking her guts out and everything, so Carla's dead. Sorry, Carla.
Yeah.
But like, Lilith pulls out Eric's gun that he had, right? And she's like pointing at all of them. And Frances takes it upon herself to lunge at Lilith with a scalpel, thinking that she's going to kill her. And Lilith manages to get her back in the chest with the scalpel, right? And this is where we start seeing the bleh, 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 as she falls back and dies. And Xandor and Shiva are like, give us Adam. Like, they have no leverage here whatsoever. Fucks. And they're like, you give us Adam right this second, right? And she's like... she's like, you guys are really stupid right now. Like, you don't even know what you're doing. And she's like, but you need to give us Adam because we need him to complete the ritual. She turns the gun on Adam and says, go over there. And I'm like, okay, what is happening? So he kind of like, okay, like goes and stands next to Shiva like he's some little like lost puppy, because I would be like, what the fuck is happening here, you know? Yeah. And she straight up, in the exact same, like, sentence, not even anything else is being said, goes, by the way, he's not a virgin anymore. And both of them look at him like, what? And he's kind of like, I'm not. Like, you know, kind of like smirking to himself kind of a thing. And I'm like, this is not that moment.
No.
Anyway. And she was like, now you better give him or like, let him go, or I'm going to shoot you.
What?
She straight up is like, go stand next to them. Now let him go. Like,
that makes no sense.
I'm gonna show you the scene in a little bit, but like, sorry, my dogs. And they were like, well, we need the hand. You have to give us the hand, because she's holding it in a plastic bag, right? Okay. And so she's like, oh, you mean the hands that have the wrong sins written on them? And she was like, well, we can fix that. And she was like, fine, whatever. And like tosses the hand to them.
No.
Gets Adam and they leave.
Okay, but you still can't do your ritual.
Yeah. But they decide to do it anyway.
But you can't.
So she gives Xander the hand and he's like, no, we shouldn't do this. And she's like, we won't have another chance unless we do it right now. I don't know why.
But you don't have a virgin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't fucking know. So they decide to do it anyway. But my thing is that I'm like, you know what tops a virgin? An innocent baby. Is all I'm saying. And I feel like that would be for a lot of demonic rituals. An innocent baby. And you already fucking killed that thing. So whatever.
Sacrifice right there, I guess.
Right? Like, that's a virgin.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's all I'm saying. Fresh out of the womb. That's as virgin as you can get. Like,
okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
So Xander does a really dumb, like, he says the ritual and stuff. And we get a bunch of, like, the room starts shaking and the lights start flashing and we get this really dumb like effect where like the lights or the image, like the lights get blown out really bright and stuff.
The screen is white and
and we keep seeing flashes of some weird little like T-Rex monster thingy that I think is supposed to be Lucifer. I'll show it to you. Don't worry.
What?
I'm gonna take a screenshot of it too.
All the screenshots.
Oh yeah, yes. Like there's so much in this that I'm like, but I'm like I also can't take pictures of the medical stuff, so we don't get to see any of that. Sorry everyone. It's on Tubi. And they start screaming because I guess they're being drugged down to hell. Because that's what happens when the ritual doesn't work, right?
Oh.
So they get drugged down to hell.
So we don't know what the ritual was for in the first place?
They were trying to summon Lucifer to our world, but because it didn't work, he took them to his.
Why would you want him here?
I don't fucking know, man. That's my favorite thing is like, what do you think is going to happen? Because they're just going to destroy the world.
Yeah.
So like.
That you live in.
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. I don't
fucking know. I don't understand occultists. Like. No. Like, of any kind of, like, whatever, like, because we play D&D, and, like, I feel like there's so many times that they're like, oh, the occult is trying to, like, summon this demon to the world, and I'm like, why?
Well, even, like, an almighty God figure, like, why would you want him here?
Yeah.
Stay.
I'm good.
You do your thing. Right? No thanks.
Anyway, so they get sucked down to hell, and later on, I guess it's Lilith's dorm room?
Okay.
Or bedroom or something. I don't know. They're in a fucking bedroom now.
Okay.
And Adam and Lilith go to sit down, and she's like, I bet you have a lot of questions for me. And he just starts listing them, right? And she's like, okay, hold on. One at a time, right? And he was like, why didn't the ritual work?
That's your first question?
That was his first question. Well, I mean, that wasn't his first question when he started listing them.
Yeah.
But, like, that's the one he wanted to go with. And so she explains, or like, how she knew that the ritual wasn't going to work.
Okay.
And she explains that she's a true Satanist. And true Satanists actually just curse people that wrong them, not sacrifice good people to gain power.
I mean, I've heard that Satanists aren't really as bad and scary as people make them out to be.
Sure, but
still.
Yeah, but
cursing people is not good.
Right. So, they don't sacrifice innocent people for power. That's just in the myths. And I'm like, okay, sure, that's fine.
Okay,
I mean, yeah. But she starts going off about how she's like, I just don't follow, like, or the religious line of guilt. I do what I want whenever I want because I don't believe I'm going to heaven or hell. And I'm like, isn't that an atheist thing, not a Satanist thing?
Yeah.
But she's a Satanist, so, like,
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know enough about it.
Right? But I'm like, I don't feel like she's any kind of whatever Satanist she thinks that she is because I don't...
She just, like, takes their rules and applies it to her life.
Yeah.
But, like, is not... Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he was like, okay, well... Is this where you kill me? Like, is this where you're going to kill me kind of a thing? And she's like, if I wanted to kill you, I would have let them kill you, right? And she's like, no, I think of you as my mate. And I'm like,
ew.
Because you raped him. Anyway, yep. And she's like, no, I love you as my mate and stuff, and I want to be with you. And you want to be with me too. You just need to get rid of all of your guilt and become a Satanist. And he's like, what? Why me? And she's like, I think you have potential. And he's like, right. Wait. Your name is Lilith, the she-devil.
Wow, good job.
Right? And she goes, well, yeah, don't you know why, though? And he's like, what? And she's like, well, Lilith was told that she had to be under Adam's rule back in the Garden of Eden and stuff, right? Yeah. But Lilith didn't like that. She felt that she was equal to Adam, and so God cast her out and decided all independent women are she-devils, too. Adam feels a little bit uneasy about this, but she starts kissing him, so he goes along with it. End of the movie. And I'm like, listen, not all independent women are she-devils, but when you start drugging and raping people, you're a she-devil.
You're a bitch.
You're a bitch.
What was the point of this movie?
None whatsoever.
Literally? No, nothing.
But I think I might be able to find out what the point is in the sequel!
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah, there's a second one. Apparently it just came out in 2020.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. Yep.
Oh, no.
Yep. So
I think we should watch the sequel to Jurassic Shark and the sequel to this together.
Yes, let's do it. Or we can just record our reactions to it the whole time. That's what I think we should do. Yes.
These movies are so bad.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
This was 3 years before Jurassic Shark and 4 years before Lizzie Borden's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, I know.
Oh, they're bad. Oh, yeah, they're so bad. So I just showed Shannon some scenes.
Like, speechless.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I've seen some of their other shit, and this is worse.
This is probably one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
It could get worse.
Mm-hmm. I would so much rather listen to that ridiculous song from Lizzie Borden, like 16 times over this. Yeah. Yeah.
I would watch the people from Jurassic Shark walk through the woods for 80 minutes. Like, holy crap. Yeah. Well, what's it rated? This is a 2 point something?
2.4.
Jurassic Shark was worse. How?
Yeah, it's 2.4 stars. Mm-hmm.
That makes no sense.
No sense.
I want to go read the reviews.
Right?
People who were just like, what is this hot garbage?
Let's find out. I can pull it up real quick.
Oh, boy.
An overwhelming majority.
1 star.
Of 1 star. So,
who rated it 10 out of 10?
12 people.
Get out of here.
12 people rated it that.
How dare you?
No, just no. What is this supposed to be aside from a bunch of random shots of gore with several real repeats, I might add, and a meandering plot that goes nowhere? Mm-hmm. What do you get when you mix a sweaty weirdo professor, a trashy bimbo doctor, and a bunch of 35-year-olds pretending to be medicine undergrads, none of whom could have passed to have an IQ higher than their shoe size, an utterly disjointed mistake claiming to be a movie? There's much worse with this, and I don't even know where to begin. Suffice it to say, if you watch this thing to the end, you're likely a masochist.
Oh, gosh.
Someone gave it a 7 out of 10, saying, a little formula movie saved by the presence of I can't say that name, I'm really sorry. Dr. Xander.
Domitiano?
He's Dr. Xander.
Okay.
Yep.
He saved it? He saved this movie?
I guess. He's in a lot of other movies, too. Okay. I went and looked him up. He's in a lot of shit.
I was going to say, he kind of looks familiar.
Yeah. Acting so bad it almost saves the film. Within minutes of starting the film, we are introduced to the central actors. I'd like to say central characters, but that would be an exaggeration. The acting is so wooden in some cases, so stilted in others, so beneath the level of a decent high school play, that these are not characters at the best. Caricatures, yeah. Sometimes the delivery is funny. Sometimes it's a parody to be kind of the character you often see in similar but better films. But most of the time, it just grates on you and makes you regret starting the film. The rest of the film is so bad, from the massive plot holes resulting in the impossibility of suspension of disbelief, to the point scenes of blood and gore interspeed through the oh my gosh. I'm reading it so fast I can't even keep up with the big words. Introductory portion. That if the acting had been a little funnier, it might have actually have been the saving grace of the film, moving it to the so bad it's good category. However, some of these actors show some potential and are just not bad enough for that. Nothing saves this film. Don't waste your time.
No. Yeah, it's bad, you guys.
It's so bad.
Like, there's a lot of films that we've done where I'm like, just save yourself and don't watch it because it's that bad.
Yeah, don't watch this one.
But, like, this one is for real.
I really almost stopped it a couple of times, and I was like, I'm just going to pick something else. I watched another movie the other day at, like, 2 a.m., and I was like, this movie sucks, but I should talk about that one.
Yeah. Like, there's so much gore and squishing and bad acting.
Yeah.
And, I don't know how you got through it. I really don't. Wow.
I pushed.
You're a masochist.
I guess I am.
So what would you rate it then?
If
like negative numbers,
like
right?
Negative.
Like negative
absolutely.
666.
Yeah.
Praise the devil.
Like, I'm surprised that Lucifer didn't crawl up from the earth to be like, stop making this movie.
How dare you make this movie in my name?
Because I would have. Yeah. I would have been like, absolutely, do not fucking...
Don't put this into the world.
Do not add my name to this.
No.
You're not affiliated with me, so like...
No. Oh.
Yep.
I had goosebumps so hard my arms hurt, you guys. Okay.
Yep.
So, sorry about that.
Please can't wait to add in some screenshots, peeps.
Yeah.
Which means I have to watch it again.
You sure do.
To take some screenshots.
Yep. I was doing that for Jurassic Shark, and Tony was like, didn't you already watch this? What are you doing? I was like, yes. But, yeah, check out the YouTube video, because there will probably be a lot of awful screenshots, so you can see what we went through. And mostly Alyssa, but...
Yeah. But I put Shannon through some of it.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Like, and the funny thing, too, was that as I was watching this, I was like, this is an hour... Oh, it's an hour and 17 minutes, okay? And there was so much of it that I was like, get on with it already. Like, get on with it. Like, it's such a short movie...
I really think that, like, they just make things longer when they don't need to be. And obviously reuse footage.
I know. I'm like, this could have been an episode of Law & Order SVU. Thank you. Like,
shorten that up, please.
Yeah, 45 minutes. I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah, too much.
I know. And I've been binge watching Xena recently. And this was worse. Yeah, so...
Oh, gosh. Okay, well, check out our other episodes. They're of slightly better movies, but still awful movies.
But still awful.
That's what we do.
Yep.
So,
this has to be the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think so. Wow. I don't know how it has such a high rating. Anyway, check out other stuff on YouTube and Spotify and Stitcher and Apple and Google Podcasts.
Yeah.
Send us an email at bmoviebashpodcast@gmail.com if you have any requests or questions or hate mail or, you know, whatever. Send it our way.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
Have a good time.
Have a good time.